I'm actually really loving the custom touch it gives over the factory blue, and all I actually had to pay for was just the paint.
Hey guys, hope you're doing well. So today I have a little DIY project, and it's actually very simple, very inexpensive, and it adds that really nice custom touch to your car. I know the car's dirty, but it's been raining on and off for the past 2 weeks, and because I drive it, she can't really stay clean. But nonetheless, we've done something to basically everything to the rear end of this car. You know, from the spoiler to the taillights to the dual exhaust conversion, the only thing that's really missing, aside from removing this piece, which I was holding on to for sentimental reasons, but now I'm just kind of over it, is custom painting this Ford emblem right here. Real quick, can we just take a second to appreciate the headlights? So I custom painted the front emblem actually before I was even posting on YouTube. And today I'm gonna walk you through how to do it with the rear emblem. It's actually really simple. So I'm gonna show you guys how to remove the piece, disassemble it, prep it, paint it, and reinstall it. So all you really need to do is pop the trunk, remove these little tabs to give yourself access to the emblem, and then from there you'll reach the hardware. It definitely helps if you have pry tools, but if you don't, a small flathead screwdriver should also do the trick. Well, there's one, and there's only like 6 or 7. It's actually pretty easy and self-explanatory, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut to when they're all off. All right guys, got all the pieces off. Now you can start pulling the liner down. Mine is cut on both sides, so I'll have an easier time to just actually pull it down. But the basic idea is getting these out of the way to be able to see the back side of the emblem right there. I did eat and shower, so if I look different, that's why. All right, so this next little bit is gonna be a little difficult to film. As you guys saw earlier, it is a little bit out of view, but it is not out of reach. You can pretty easily get your hand in there. Again, mine was cut on this side as well, but it doesn't actually do anything against the actual functionality of it. It was only cut to tap into the brake light wire for the actual spoiler. Once you get this out of the way, you actually have pretty easy access to these emblem backings. The little metal prongs do pop out, so basically just squeezing those through and you should have access to be able to pull it off. It's kind of a difficult angle to film, so I'm just gonna go for it and I'll show you guys what it looks like once it's off. Now I believe there's still some adhesive behind this aside from the actual hardware. And so what you're gonna wanna do is get some dental floss or some fishing wire and kind of slide it through the back, kind of how you would do if you're debadging the car. And that should basically get it a little loosened up so you can actually get the pieces on the back off. So I got some simple dental floss right here, and this is basically all you really need. I'm not really sure if you can see this, but once you have the back situated, you can start prying a little bit more, and you can see that there's more adhesive that you can't really get to with the floss. On top of that, I'm gonna pry it off. And so it definitely helps if you do have a pry tool, because what you can do is you can kind of dig a little deeper and help get the adhesive removed. Alright guys, got the emblem right here. As you can see, it all came off in one piece. Minus the adhesive, but it doesn't really matter from here on out because we're actually going to clean all this off and use some 3M double-sided tape. Now just to reiterate, you're going to pop these tabs out and you can actually roll this piece off. You won't be able to get as much movement though because there is this little grip right here. So if you do want to go about it the easier way, just a little slit right here where it connects here. Again, this doesn't actually do any damage to the vehicle or whatever. It's just me, I had it for my wiring. You can actually move it away pretty solidly if you do that. You press the little pins in the back that go in those 2 holes, just so that whenever you're pulling the emblem off, it doesn't hook or grab. Do be careful though, because you can cut yourself on this actual piece of metal. Hopefully I'm all good, no scratches or anything, but again, just be careful. These are what the pins look like if you want a little bit of a closer look, but as you can see, they have those little ridges that can catch whenever you're pulling out. They're not actually that difficult to mess with, but it definitely helps if you have a tool. You can definitely do it with your fingers, but if you have one of these things lying around, this actually did help a good bit. From that point, you get some floss and kind of run it around the edge. You won't be able to get everything, but this will also help pull the actual pins through so that they're not going to be able to catch as easily after this point. And then from there, a pry tool is going to be your best friend. You're going to be able to dig in and actually get underneath the adhesive and pull a little more firmly than you would with any other tool. It is possible to do it with a screwdriver, but if you are gonna go that route, definitely use a rag so you don't scratch any paint. So that's gonna be the hardest part. Honestly, the rest of this is definitely a cakewalk. The emblem removal itself only took about 25 minutes, but I did definitely take my time on it because I didn't want to damage anything. I didn't want any bends or warps or any scratches on top of all that. So take it easy, take it slow, and it should come out just fine. Now you may be asking why go this route in the first place if there's tons of overlays and actual aftermarket emblems online. And true, but the thing about those are they are rather limited in what they actually do and the colors actually give. The majority of the overlays online limit themselves to the blue of the actual center. So you're actually not even getting anything that covers the entire emblem because you'll still have the chrome trim on the outside. Plus, you can't find fully custom overlays that cover the entire thing readily online. Usually they are a special order. And then from there, replacement emblems as a whole that are already custom painted can actually get pretty expensive pretty fast, especially the more specific you are with the colors that you want. But in this do-it-yourself scenario, all you really need to do is remove the emblem. You don't have to buy another one. Buy the paint that you want and the sandpaper to scuff it up. And that's about it. You can do it for less than $20, and it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and you do it yourself. You can even color match it yourself for a fraction of the price, and on top of that, once you're actually done, the customization factor for the car will be very, very high quality. And then to do the emblem on the front bumper, it's basically the same thing, but you remove the bumper itself to get access to the rear end of the emblem. And then after that, it's basically the same stuff. All right, so the first thing to do is basically to take off the old adhesive. It's not very difficult. Honestly, it's pretty old and dried up anyway, so it should come off pretty simply. And if not, then you could probably get a toothpick and just kind of pry the pieces off. All right, so it doesn't need to be perfect or anything as long as you have access to these little circular sections. That's what holds the blue piece in place, and those are basically flattened over the openings. What you want to do is get a small screwdriver and pop those off so that you can take this blue piece off, and then that way this blue section will come off. There is also a way to do it with a drill if the pieces do not want to come off on their own, but once you finish that, you basically pop them through and you take out the blue section. Then you'll get this piece off. So these are the two main pieces, but there is still this blue circle in the D, and then the ring around the trim. There's this little section on the left and this area on the right that hold it in place, but more than that, there is these little ridges that you can actually push through and actually have a good amount of leverage with. So once you pop that piece off and this piece off, you can basically push the ring through and get it off. And that's basically it, just these four pieces: the housing, the lettering, the trim ring, and then the little D and the loop in the F. So basically, once you're done with this, you can prep it and then paint it. So we're almost done, and should be pretty easy from here on as well. All right, guys, so we have all four pieces right here. Now the next step is going to be to sand it. So what you want to do is you want to scuff it up just to basically help the paint stick to it a little better. Nothing crazy, these are relatively small pieces. You can wet sand if you want to. This is something that you do definitely want to do, especially for the front, because the front piece is actually going to be exposed more to weathering, road debris, rock chips. So doing this minimizes the risk of actually having the paint chip off. So you don't really need to go too crazy with the sanding. I just got this from Lowe's for like $5. And you basically just want to make sure that you can scuff it up to the point where it's actually a different color. This right here on the top is the original blue, and this is it scuffed up. You can definitely change the grit level for different results, but I'm not too familiar with all that stuff, more just I know to scuff it up just to paint. You can kind of see the difference here between the bottom section and the top. The bottom section I just sanded, and you can see it's kind of smoked over, whereas the top still has a reflective factor. You basically just want to make sure that it's scuffed up enough so that the paint doesn't just slide off. So from here, the next step is to just basically clean it up. You want to get the little bits of dust off, the excess adhesive, and whatever remnants are on the emblem. So just cleaning it, being thorough, and then we'll just put some primer on it. All right, to paint.
So the weather got nice, finally. Thor's loving it. You got it? All right, so for the paints, we have this for the primer, this for the outside section, this nice metallic dark gray. I got it because of the sparkles. They look pretty cool. And then we have the clear for the last one. Basically, I stuck with the Krylon brand because I did like this color, and usually they tend to work a little bit better if you keep to the same brand. So we got the primer, black, and the gloss in the same brand. Pretty self-explanatory from this point. You just paint the primer first. And you want everything the same primer just because it's all gonna be painted. And then from there, you do the specific colors. It is gonna depend on the paint that you get. Each one has different drying times and handling times, but usually it doesn't take too long to get everything done and get a solid coat all over everything. So as you can see, we have everything pretty evenly coated, pretty happy with it. Now we can separate it. This is gonna be black over here in the corner, and then these last other pieces are gonna be that metallic gray. Then from there, just some gloss, and should be good to go. Alright guys, here's the black piece, and honestly, it looks really good. Yvette did this one, and I really like the gloss on it. Then over here on this side, this is the one I did, we have the metallic gray. This one looks pretty cool as well. And now we're gonna do a clear coat. Then from there we can reassemble. And I did actually forget, gotta get this off. So whenever we leave it all to dry, this is what we'll be doing. So here's what the pieces are looking like now that they have been dried. They've been sitting here for a few hours. So you have the gloss black right here, and then you have this nice metallic gray right here. So gonna glue these together. The goal is basically to glue the prongs back into the holes and just have a little small contact area that you can drill out if need be, if you want to do a different color, if you want to adjust it or change it at all. So it shouldn't be too much glue, but just enough to hold it in position and make sure that it doesn't actually flop around.
Alright guys, here's how the emblem came out. It has a nice little bit of reflectiveness, as you can see with my finger in the lower section. It's a pretty smooth finish all around. This is my first time using Krylon paint on something, and I do think the gloss could be just a little more significant, but nonetheless it does catch the light really well. You can see the little metallic flakes in there, and this all together only took about 20 bucks.
Alright guys, so as you can see here, the excess adhesive has been removed. Even got the little decal over here off, and that was actually basically all Yvette right here, and Yvette actually helped out a lot right here. So I just want to say thank you to her for helping out. Here's the emblem catching a little bit of reflection. So now all that's really left to do is just clean this area up with some alcohol, get some 3M double-sided tape, and the emblem will be on. Now once you have the emblem actually placed in position, all you want to do is you want to make sure that it hooks again so you have the adhesive as well as this hardware. Then you can go ahead and button everything back up and you'll be done. Liner is secure and the new emblem is on the car. I'm actually really loving the custom touch it gives over the factory blue, and all I actually had to pay for was just the paint. Now before I forget again, I want to give a shout out to a few people, namely Taylor, Patrick, Juan, Ben, Daryl, Nina, Melvin, Dirtbag Sway, Andy, Guillermo, and Brent. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. You know, doing this doesn't actually take very long. All in all, it's going to come down to the paint that you use and how long it takes for that to dry, because once you can handle it, you can glue everything back together. But ultimately, it's going to come down to the products that you use. Some paints do suggest giving it more time to dry, and then some glues are actually a lot quicker than others. It's really just a balancing act, because obviously you'd rather be safe with it and not actually mess anything up. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. My birthday is actually coming up this Saturday, May 29th, so who knows, maybe I'll end up getting something for the car. We'll see. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.